Hello friends, and welcome to The Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, this week, as every week, I have a tarot spread laid out, and we're going to be looking at how we can live life more intentionally, how we can live an intentional life. So, as I said, the tarot spread has been laid, so let's dive right in. I think the artwork on both of these decks, or these sets of decks, is amazing. And they work very well together, though they are very different in style. So you can see this week, as last week and the week before, I have soul cards 1 and 2 mixed together for the first line of the spread. And I also have the Jonasa Joust Tarot, 6th edition, the jumbo and the medium size together, in addition to my usual inquiry cards. And if you're curious about where you can get these decks, there will be information at the end of the video about who the creators are. And below the video, there will be links for where you can get these decks. Now, warning, the Jonasa Joust 6th edition is, I believe, sold out. It's completely sold. However, the 5th edition, the edition before this one, is still available. And the size is a little bit different. Actually, it might be a more comfortable size for you to use. It's more of a square, standard oracle size deck. The coloration is a little bit different. The color palette is different, but the images are just the same. Yeah, it's the same image, just a little bit different tone to the colors, and the size, again, I believe might actually be more comfortable for you. So there will be a link below for the Jonasa Joust 5th edition if you're interested in that. So friends, here we go. The first line of cards, the soul cards, gives us the main idea, the main story for this spread. So let's take a look at that. This line of cards tells a story to me. And the first card of this story shows two people back to back, but with their hands clasped. They are connected. They are interconnected. They are related. So it's that feeling of connection, perhaps internal connection with self and self, perhaps between our masculine and feminine sides, yes, our anima and animus, perhaps between our expansive, eternal mind and our more physically focused minds. Yeah, the connection, the relationship between self and self, or between self and spirit. Or perhaps between two humans, for example, between one person and their partner, or one person and another friend. That connection, internal connection or interpersonal connection, gives us life. It makes us feel magnificently creative when that relationship feels pure, feels integrated, feels full of love and joy. We feel very powerful. It's that honeymoon feeling. Have you been married, or have you felt what people call the honeymoon period? No, that's a very specific thing, but that feeling of being in love with life and being in love with either self or a partner and feeling invincible. We have access to that, and we don't have to be in relationship with another person. We don't have to have just been married to feel that. We can feel that in many other times, in other periods of our lives for various reasons. But that feeling of being connected and integrated is a powerful feeling. It makes us feel more healthy. It makes us feel more intelligent and creative. It makes us feel like the world around us is brighter and happier and more vibrant. It makes us feel like powerful creators. And that is the feeling we want to feel when we are living an intentional life, whether there is a partner there with us or not. Because remember, whether that partner is a physical, separate seeming body or its spirit, we are always in co-creation when living an intentional life. So the first card, that connection, that integration, that feeling of being bonded and united in joy and love. And then the next card shows us a person crumbled to the ground, their spirit perhaps crying out in pain beneath. Yeah? That cry from the gut. Why? Because we also get knocked down. We get bowled over. We get destroyed emotionally. It could be for any number of reasons. It could be from the death of someone we love. It could be because of betrayal. We could feel betrayed by someone we care for. It could be because of some perceived failure on our parts. Remember, there is no failure. There is no failure. Because we never get anything done. We are living an eternal life through these current bodies. But we are living an eternal life. And because our life is eternal, there is no conclusion to anything. It's just a step on our path of creation. So we still evaluate every step, and we say this step is a success and this step is a failure, and the step that we deem is a success we celebrate and we feel integrated, and the step that we deem a failure knocks us down, knocks almost all of us down, knocks me down. Or it could be a breakup. Now it could actually be not a betrayal, but a simple breakup with someone we love. It happens. And we crumble. Our hearts crack. Or our hearts feel like they're cracking. We feel isolated. We feel alone. The world feels heavier and darker. And we can't even really see the world because we're crumpled up within ourselves. Now, those are two extremes. The one extreme of the bright, happy, united, integrated, vibrant, world-experiencing, united set of people, and the isolated, crumpled, broken down, broken up, broken one. Are we going to say that one is right and one is wrong? We cannot say that. Because again, not only is there no failure, you never get it wrong. We never get it wrong, we just never get it done. Even when we think we've gotten it right, we're not exactly right either. We're still not done learning. There is no final right, just as there is no final wrong. We're always evolving. Our knowledge, our understanding is always evolving. So there is no right either, as well as no wrongness. In the sense of, my experience was wrong, this experience was right. So, when we feel knocked down, when we feel like we are wrong or things have happened wrongly, we want to remember that we are not alone, even though we feel alone. That third card, we see a face, and behind that face there is a bird, perhaps a dove, or perhaps a sparrow or a lark, whatever you see as a bird of spirit, perhaps a raven, yeah? Odin's ravens, yeah? A bird of spirit is there with us, behind our eyes, making it perhaps difficult to see, but that spirit is with us, even when we feel our most isolated, our most alone, our most separated. That spirit cannot be separated from us because we are that spirit. We are always connected. We're just not feeling it at the moment. But even in that time of brokenness, we are connected. We are integrated with spirit and all that there is. We've not suddenly been dropped into a special time warp vacuum. That is impossible. We are connected. And in that connection, when we allow it, we can allow the voice of Spirit speak through us. Now, because you saw that other bird, smaller bird, coming from the mouth. Yeah? We can let Spirit speak through us, even in our brokenness, even in our feeling knocked down and isolated. We can let Spirit speak through us. And what will Spirit say? Spirit will be saying that I am here. We might be thinking that that is us speaking, but that is also Spirit speaking through us. I am here. I am here. I am here. Where am I? I am here. Who am I? I am God embodied in this structure. I am here. We are never disconnected. Spirit is always available to us. And inspiration is always possible, even at our most knocked down. Inspiration is always available to us. Then we have the fourth card. Do you remember it? There is a person with mountains in front. In front of them, those mountains are a symbol of obstacles. Yeah? That obstacle that we are feeling as the breakup or the death or the betrayal or the perceived failure, that is the mountain. And we're standing there with this mountain in front of us. But there is a light in the heart. Yeah? Allow the heart to crack open. When we're knocked down, when we are collapsed within ourselves, our hearts are also locked down and shut up because we're trying to protect ourselves. Now we have that instinctual self-protective stance, both physically and emotionally. We wall ourselves in to protect our fragile hearts. But when we allow our hearts to crack open, then we will see the light that has always been shining from within. There is a power within that heart, even when it is in its most painful state. There is a power within that heart. And it needs to crack open for that light to become visible to us, to become the light in the darkness for us, and perhaps for those around us, for others around us. When we allow our broken heart to crack open, then we can radiate our light, our love, our joy, which is hiding in there. We can never lose our joy. It's in there. It's hiding in there, within the shell. Like a bud needs to break for the blossom to bloom. Our hearts need to break open for our light to shine, for us to evolve. And then we come to the last card. Yeah? We see the person up and walking away freely with a butterfly flying behind. That butterfly, a symbol of Spirit, always with us, always following us. Whatever our state, Spirit is always there. Our spirit, our eternal selves. And I don't like higher, because in the realm of Spirit, there is no higher, there is no lower. There is no larger, there is no smaller. Those are all physical descriptions. Spirit is not a physical thing. Spirit, the fullness of Spirit. Not the more full, not the less full, but the fullness of Spirit, which we sometimes call God, which we sometimes call Allah, which we sometimes call Brahman, or Gaia, or Great Mother, or Great Father, whatever we want to call that universal mind from which all of this has sprung, is there with us. And as we walk on with that Spirit with us, we can feel that Spirit now with us. We can feel that wind at our back from the fluttering wings. We can feel that wind at our back. And we will also be evidencing Spirit for those around us. We will be allowing Spirit to radiate through us. We will be Spirit to those around us, to those with eyes to see who we are. And perhaps not everyone has the eyes to see us when we are embodying Spirit, but we are. And there are people who will recognize that. Not that they have to. Not that we're keeping score. We're not keeping score. Well, 5 people recognized that I was radiating Spirit today and 20 people didn't, so I'm not doing a good enough job. That's not the point. That is not the point. We're there, being Spirit, embodying Spirit for all those who have eyes to see. And as we are embodying Spirit, as we are evidencing Spirit, then we will regain our sense of integration and connectedness. Whether that is with ourselves, with Spirit, or with another person or people. And then we will return to being the more evolved creators that we want to be, flowing with intention again, flowing with the powerful current of intention. So friends, this week, as always, we have 3 questions we're going to ask of this first line of cards. So let's move to that first question. What does it have to ask? The first question is, what is the opportunity? Does that seem like an odd question in this circumstance? What is the opportunity when we are broken apart, when we are broken down, when we are betrayed? What is the opportunity? There is opportunity. There is always opportunity. And the first card is the 2 of Swords. The 2 of Swords in this deck is a dreamer, but also an inexperienced dreamer. It's someone who wants to increase their awareness, increase the sharpness of their mental sword, if you will, increase their ability to discern the dreams they want to dream, discern the creation that they want to place for them to move forward into manifestation. It's the dreamer. And the next card is the Emperor. And in this deck, it's a skeleton sitting overgrown with perhaps vines or weeds or plant life, but overgrown. The Emperor in this deck, as in many Tarot de Marseille decks, is the card of material energy. It's also the card of stability and order in the environment. So perhaps we can see that skeleton as providing a structure for the plants to grow on. Yeah? The Emperor is the structure. It is the balance. So on one hand, we have the dreamer, the inexperienced dreamer who needs to sharpen their sword. And on the other hand, we have the Emperor who is structure and balance. And that is the opportunity. That is the opportunity of these moments when we have been broken down and then we allow ourselves to crack open for the light to shine. Yeah? That cracking open is the dreamer waking up. But knowing that they are still a little bit in need of or wanting experience. And they've had an experience. They've certainly had an experience for sure. But they want more experience to hone their ability to dream, to place more evolved dreams for themselves to manifest. They want to have increased or more evolved awareness. And the first step to that evolution has been the breakdown, has been the crumpling and breaking open, is the first step to their new path of evolution, leading to a new stability, a new balance in their lives. An evolution that would not have happened if they had not had the breakdown, if they had not had the breaking open. If we don't have those experiences, we cannot evolve as much as we can, as much as possible. Those experiences, while painful, are the way we grow. And no one is forcing us to go through them. We don't have to have these experiences, but those are the things which help us evolve. So the opportunity is to evolve as a dreamer and to increase our stability, to increase our balance, to increase the structure of our physical lives, which will help us perhaps the next time we get knocked down. We'll be in a better place, and when we crack open again, we will have a new evolution to a greater being. Let's look at the next question for this spread. The question for this section of the spread is, what am I feeling? Remember that our emotions are indicators for how much we are allowing ourselves to flow with the current of intention. So tell me, how are you feeling right now, this very moment? Having those frequent check-ins is an important tool for living life intentionally, because we know that when we are feeling anywhere from irritated to depressed, from angry to overwhelmed to defeated, we know that we are closing ourselves off from our full access to moving with intention. And when we are feeling anything from satisfaction to joy, from hope to love, we are open to moving with the power of our intention. So how are you feeling now? If you're feeling good, if you're feeling in your groove, then all is well. If you're not feeling so good, if you're feeling tired, depressed, annoyed, that's okay. That is okay. We're not judging our emotions. We do not want to. Judging emotions does nothing more than put an even the heavier anchor on an already weighed down boat in the stream of intention. We don't want to judge our emotions. It serves no purpose. We do want to be aware of them and see what we can do to shift into a happier direction. Even when we are feeling happy, we could be feeling more happy. We want to keep nudging ourselves in the direction of love and joy. So, what are you feeling? What am I feeling? Always a good check-in. And especially for this spread, it's a good check-in because remember, the first card was that feeling of integration, the feeling of connectedness, and checking into that and being aware of that helps increase that feeling. Being aware of, oh my God, I'm really feeling good. This is amazing. And then we can spiral with that. Oh, I love life. I love what life is doing. I love what other people's lives are doing around me. Look at that. Look at the magnificence of this world, this universe that I'm living in. You can move up by keeping aware of how good you are feeling, but also being aware of when we start moving in the other direction. We want to ask ourselves what we are feeling. And you see there are two cards here. One is the sun. The sun in all tarot decks is the happy card. Yeah? It's the card of success, of happiness, sometimes of that connection, that interconnection between people. It's the card of abundance, abundance of harvest. It's the card of light, the light of the divine in the world. It's the card of joy, getting ready to move to completion. So, if you're feeling that, if you're feeling the sun on your face, the sun radiating from your heart, if you're feeling abundant and successful, whatever your circumstances. You don't have to be driving a $500 million sports car, living in a mansion in the most expensive place in the world to feel successful. We can be living anywhere in this world. We could be living without a house. We could be living without any means of transportation and still feel successful with what we are doing and who we are being. So if you're feeling that success with yourself, with your relationships, with what you are creating in the world, you're good to go. Give it attention. Pour more energy into that. Allow it to grow and blossom even more. In a relaxed state, not getting frantic, frenetic, because that's going to start constricting us. Yeah, I've got to be happier is going to do nothing but weigh us down. But enjoying it even more, giving it more positive, loving energy and enjoyment and blissing out. If you can, that's great, you're good to go. However, sometimes we're not feeling that. And that's good too, because it's those other feelings that help us evolve. So sometimes we have the Three of Swords moment. And in this deck, the Three of Swords is not as violent as the Three of Swords card is in a Rider-Waite system deck. But in this deck, there is still that sense of being bound. There's still that sense of struggle for clarity, being tied down, being disappointed by what we have accomplished or disappointed by what we think is a disappointing dream that we have realized. We've realized something in our experience and we are disappointed by its manifestation. It happens. It's happened. Has that ever happened to you? Has something appeared for you and you looked at it and you thought, well, that's not what I wanted. What was I thinking? Oh, gosh, I'm not good at this. And then you start spiraling down. Yeah, I'm not good at this creation. What was I thinking? I'm stupid. I don't know anything. And then you can spiral yourself down. We don't want to do that. But we do that from time to time. And when we can stop, when we can evaluate who we are being at that moment. Remember, we are human beings. Who we are being at that moment. We can stop. And notice if our hearts have closed up, clamped down, if we've crumpled in, if we're struggling for clarity because we have done this with ourselves, physically or emotionally, then we can realize, this is where I am. This is how I'm feeling. That's okay. And I can allow my heart to break open. I can allow the shell to crack. I can allow the bud to break. And my blossom to bloom again. In its time. In its time. Remember the story of the butterfly. What does that mean? There was a child who found a butterfly cocoon, brought it home, and asked their parents what this was. And their parents said, well, there's a butterfly being formed in there. And in time, the butterfly will emerge and it will be beautiful and it will fly and flutter away. And the child was very excited. I want to see this. I want to see this. So the child waited and the child waited and the child said, I'm going to help it break out. So the child broke open the cocoon and of course the butterfly died because it wasn't ready. When the butterfly is ready, it will break open. So when we are ready for our hearts to break open, we can allow that to happen. Or we can prevent it from happening. We have the choice. We can either allow our hearts to break open, or we can prevent it. We can keep holding tight and remembering the pain and being angry at ourselves and others past the expiration date of our anger. We can prevent our hearts from breaking open. That's why we want to check in. Okay, I'm still feeling angry. for example, I'm still feeling angry. Is it time to break open? No, it's not time to break open. Okay, let's sit with it. Let's sit with it. Let's sit with it. And then later, maybe an hour later, maybe a day later, maybe a week later, we can check back in. Constantly check back in. Not say, oh no, I'm not ready yet, but check back in. And I'm ready to break open. I'm ready to break open. I'm ready to free myself from this pain, from this bondage that I have created for myself, to protect myself, but that I have created for myself. So what am I feeling? And am I ready to evolve? Let's look at the third set of cards. So the last question is, how can I be more flexible? How flexible are you? There are almost no people in this physical universe who could not benefit from more flexibility in one way or another, be it physical flexibility or emotional flexibility or mental flexibility. We can all use more flexibility. And it's that flexibility that can prevent some of our heartbreak, some of our pain. Yeah, things can bounce off us more if we're more elastic. Think of yourself, of your heart, like a trampoline. If you are flexible like a trampoline, things can bounce off much more easily, and you can shift around things much more easily before they can pierce your heart and break it. The more flexible we are, the more we can move around things and things can bounce off of us. Again, in whatever sphere, be it physical, like I keep doing this with my body, or emotionally, or mentally, or spiritually. We can evolve in all of those areas and more. So our evolution as creatures living an intentional life is one of increased flexibility. And the two cards we have, the first one is that Three of Swords card again. Isn't that interesting? I thought that's one of the reasons that I thought I've got to bring this spread to a video, because of that echo of the Three of Swords appearing again from the other deck. The Three of Swords. How can I be more flexible? Well, by first recognizing that we are struggling for clarity, that we are feeling bound, that we are disappointed in our dreams and in ourselves and in our experiences. We are disappointed in perhaps even God or Allah or Brahman or Gaia or Mother Earth or the universal mind. We're disappointed. We're knocked down. When we're knocked down and as we get up, we have perhaps the chance, the opportunity to increase our flexibility. Because it was because of our rigidity, in some sense, that allowed us to get knocked down. And there are some pains which perhaps we may not want to become flexible enough to not be knocked down by them. There are some things that happen to people which perhaps human beings have not evolved to the point where they can be flexible enough for that not to happen. We as a species have to evolve so that things that can happen, for example, rape, for example, murder, for example, hate, for example, genocide. Those are signs that we as a species need to evolve. And since we have not evolved beyond that point, individually we're going to get knocked down by those things. And we can't expect to be flexible enough to move around them because we're not evolved yet. We're not evolved beyond that, beyond the point where those things just don't happen anymore. So there are those things but for our daily lives. Yeah, for people cheating on us, for our perceived failures. We can evolve in our flexibility to be able to move around those things. So how can I be more flexible? First is recognizing where we are, recognizing our bondage and our disappointment. Like the 3 swords with the vine wrapped around, we can allow those swords to cut the vines. Yeah, the tools are in there. The tools are in there to cut the vines. The vines are not that thick. We can cut them and free ourselves. The next card is the 10 of Cups, and this is a beautiful card. You see 2 hands holding a cup, a glass, a glass goblet, with flowers, healthy flowers, with sufficient, more than sufficient water, not drowning in it, but with more than sufficient water, more than sufficient emotion to sustain them. And this is a card of spiritual evolution, of universal love, of communion between people and within ourselves, communion with self, between self and self, between self and spirit, self and the divine, communion. And co-creation in loving association, those 2 hands co-creating the support for that emotional feeding of the flowers. Yeah, that loving co-creation. So we want to be more flexible, to be able to move from that bondage to returning to loving co-creation of the 10 of Cups. Have you experienced both of those sides of the question? Have you experienced the bondage of the 3 of Swords? Have you experienced the loving co-creation of the 10 of Cups? I'm sure you have. If you think about it, I'm sure you have. I know I have. I think everyone has. From the day we are born as babies, we have those extremes. We have the dissatisfied moments and we have the joyful, blissed out moments, co-creating with those around us and with spirit. So how can I be more flexible? I can be more flexible to move out of my bondage, to crack open the shell, and to become the co-creating, being in communion with others and with myself. So friends, that is the end of this spread. I'd like to hear if any of this resonates with you, if this means anything to you. I'd like to hear in the comments below. Tell me how you have moved from those times of being broken down to your more evolved state. How did that feel? How did that process happen for you? Do you feel more flexible now? Or do you feel more rigid now? And friends, as always, I ask you, if you feel motivated to hit that like button, subscribe so you can get notifications of when I upload videos, hit the alarm button so you can get notifications on your devices, and share this with anyone who you think might get benefit from it. And again, comment below. I'd love to hear from you. I'd like to engage with you. And friends, now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.